can't clap until afterwards. So, what we're going to talk about today is this idea that if we really want to set ourselves apart in the marketplace, it's pretty simple. And it's about simply doing the right thing. And over the course of this short time together, I'm going to show you some of what we have seen in the marketplace as far as Better Business Bureau is concerned. We're here to help people and businesses win in the marketplace through ethics and trust. And I want to take you back now to June 30th, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, June 30th, 2013 is actually a Sunday afternoon. And for some reason, I'm home. And my cell phone rings. I answer it, and it's a person I know, but I don't know really well. He actually runs an event company, so they put up the tents and they put chairs and tables out at events just like this. And he says, Dale, you need to know that we've got a problem brewing down at the Idaho Center. I said, oh, really? I said, tell me more. He said, we've got dozens of businesses down here who are really mad and they're out for blood. Okay, he said, I just want you to be aware that this is coming down the pike. And so he proceeded to tell me the story of the 2013 Rib Fest. Some of you might remember this. It happened right across the street. It started with a massive marketing campaign. And the marketing campaign said we're going to attract over 100,000 people to the Idaho Center on the weekend of June 27th through the 30th. And in that time, we're going to give away thousands of dollars to prizes to some of the top rib cookers in the country. Sounds like fun, sounds exciting. So, of course, all of these rib smokers from throughout the United States, especially the western half of the U.S., show up in Little Nampa, Idaho. Happens to be 100 degrees that weekend. And by Sunday afternoon, when they had seen a total of maybe 1,000 people come through the gate, they were fit to be tied. On top of that, we had lots of small businesses from right here in the Treasure Valley that had paid between $1,000 and $3,000 to set up shop and be a vendor at this business. They scraped, they borrowed against their credit cards, and they used money they did not have to be a vendor at this place. And some of them hardly sold a thing. On top of that, they went out and bought thousands of dollars of product, food, perishable food, that had to be thrown away because nobody showed up to eat the food. So my friend was right. There was trouble brewing. And soon after this phone call on Sunday afternoon, I received another phone call from a TV station. And the TV station had heard from the vendors as well. And the TV station wanted to do a story. Well, we started working the phone on Sunday afternoon trying to get through to Casey Thompson, who is the person behind RibFest, was the person behind RibFest. And Casey's not answering his phone. In fact, he had locked himself in an office inside of the Idaho Center and wouldn't talk to the vendors either. So this TV station comes out, and at Better Business Bureau, we firmly believe in hearing both sides to a story, and we don't make judgments. It's our job really to facilitate a conversation between people. So as we went through this process Sunday afternoon, the media showed up at my house, and we started talking through exactly what had happened, what was going on. And we encourage businesses, and basically what I told the media, we encourage businesses to be upfront and to work with their customers through challenging times. And we understand that some things happened this weekend, hot weather, things like that. But we're trying to make contact with Casey so we can hear his story. And we'd encourage Casey to call Better Business Bureau so that we can help him facilitate the conversation with his customers and find some resolution to this. Well, Casey, at that time, liked to talk to the media. And so Casey went and he talked to the media, and the media said to him, the television reporter said, you know, Dale Dixon said he's been trying to get a hold of you and would like to talk to you at Better Business Bureau. And Casey's quote that was the last quote of the television story. Anybody remember seeing this one? We got some hands up. Yeah, it's almost in infamy. You tell Dale Dixon to call me and we'll have a come to Jesus meeting. And that's what made it on the news. And so my social media lit up that night, and I had all kinds of people teasing me about this. And so we went through the process, and we spent months. And Joanne Miller, our Vice President of Operations, is here, and she can attest. Joanne raised her hand. She has rock-solid foundation of Better Business Bureau. She just celebrated 37 years with the organization this week and is huge in the organization. But she can attest, we worked countless hours with the vendors and took who knows how many complaints from people, and we could not get Casey Thompson to respond to one of them. Fortunately, just last month, the Idaho Attorney General's office announced, after we had turned over all of our complaint information, they announced that Casey Thompson was barred from doing business in Idaho. So we saw some really good things happen out of that just within a year's time. But it all started with this marketing message that played on the hopes and the dreams of people. That the people who were smoking ribs could make thousands of dollars in prizes, that the people as vendors could make thousands and thousands of dollars selling food to over 100,000 people who would be showing up at the Idaho Center on this weekend in June. And none of it materialized. And he tried doing the same thing with wedding shows afterwards, and it all basically imploded in on top of him. So even to this day, we still see this type of unethical activity in the marketplace. And it's really where Better Business Bureau got its start. And so why does Dale have any level of expertise? Why does she have any level of expertise to be helping people maneuver through this idea of being ethical in the marketplace? It's really the reason Better Business Bureau started all the way back in the early 1900s when Coca-Cola was called before the FDA. And the FDA said, wait a minute, your advertising isn't ethical. When you say that this beverage is going to be great for headaches, it's going to relieve mental and physical exhaustion, it is the ideal brain tonic, something is amiss, something's wrong. And the attorney representing Coca-Cola said, all advertising is exaggerated. Nobody believes it. So as a business owner, I ask you, if this is really the attitude that the public has, what good is your effort in advertising and marketing and trying to tell the story of your business? If that's really the pervasive attitude of the public, even in the early 1900s, something's wrong. So, the nephew of the founder of Coca-Cola was in sales at Coca-Cola, and he said, time out. If nobody believes what we say, as we pour all of this money into advertising, as we spend all of this time marketing the product, Coca-Cola, if nobody believes what we say, we're wasting our time and we're losing out on a valuable communication tool. So, no, that doesn't work, and we're going to change things. And out of that, literally, out of this ad, this process was born Better Business Bureau. And it started out as the Associated Advertising Clubs of the World, caught the president's attention at the time, President Wilson, moved on, changed names to Better Business Bureau, and to this day, we believe that when business operates with the ideal of living up to a set of standards, we all win. When you as a business owner say, I'm going to hold myself accountable to a set of standards, I don't need a government regulation to come in and tell me I need to be honest in my advertising. That's what's going to set you apart. Now, even to this day, we see things like this. So this is The Rock. Do you? Yes. You know, we've got illness going through the Better Business Bureau office. I've had both kids home sick this week, and so I'm kidding. But even to this day, there are marketers and advertisers out trying to sell this. And look at the list. I mean, it says allergies and asthma and pet odor, toothache, rheumatoid arthritis, hypertension, respiratory problems, all from a funny colored, it's supposed to be salt. I have not licked it to taste to be sure that that's what it is. But this was in newspapers, and people actually buy this stuff. And I know it's hard to believe, but it actually happens, and we see it in the Better Business Bureau. We hear about it all the time. So I was looking through the newspaper, and I came across this ad because I'm always watching to see how are businesses telling their story, how are they trying to attract attention. And the ad said 50 to 70% off store-wide sale at Macy's. And there was a little asterisk. Oh, when I see asterisk right there, I always get really curious. What's the asterisk mean? So I went down and I read. And basically the asterisk led me to this little tiny fine print that talked about all of the exclusions from the sale. So headline across the top says, store-wide, 50 to 70% off at Macy's. The exclusions, anybody want to take a guess at how much merchandise was excluded? There were 114 departments within Macy's that were excluded from the store-wide sale. What does that type of behavior in the marketplace do to your customer? Yeah, she said they don't believe in anything anymore. What does this type of behavior do to your customer? You've got to think through that. Put yourself in your customer's shoes. We're getting to this place where even back in the 1900s, we were fighting this, and it continues to be a battle, and will continue to be a battle moving forward, but it takes the work of good people like you to move us past this place. We saw the same thing in the cell phone industry. T-Mobile told everybody that you can upgrade your phone anytime you want. Asterisk. You read the fine print, you can upgrade your phone anytime you want, after you've been a customer 6 months, and only up to 2 times. So when you think about your marketing, think about what words are you using, and do the words that you use require you to put an asterisk somewhere in the ad? If it does, strike it. It's not necessary. Because all you're doing is feeding this and feeding the expectation. And the last thing we as ethical business owners want to do, and one of the great things is you went through and introduced yourselves, we've got a lot of BBB accredited businesses in here. Thank you so much. Thank you. It is tremendous. And Mark Falconer is actually a board member, more than just a volunteer, so we appreciate Mark being here as well. This was just in this last week's newspaper. Recent studies suggest it's not your fault you're fat. Goes on to sell this Meritrim, which I don't think anybody really knows, and they attach it to Dr. Oz. I was stuck home one afternoon flipping through channels, and Dr. Oz came on, and the first thing out of his mouth, I want you to know, I don't endorse any product. But yet the advertisers keep attaching themselves to a well-known name. One of the things that we don't want to see happen in this world. So, a couple of real-time examples just in the last 24 hours. I travel a lot. We have offices in Boise and eastern Idaho, and so I spend some time in a hotel as we travel around the state and cover our service territory that goes from Vail, Oregon over to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And I've become a showerhead aficionado. Some of my best thinking happens in the shower, and so I found this shower head in the hotel, and I thought, wow, this works really well. So I go to Amazon, make life really easy on myself. I order it. It arrives in the mail yesterday. So I experienced a shower head. It works great for me. I didn't need to be oversold on it. So I'm looking at the messaging on the front of this package. It's called the AnyStream, and it says, infinite spray adjustability. Infinite. So I hooked it up last night, and this is as close as you'll ever get to seeing me in a shower. Feel really good for yourself. But this is the shower head infinite adjustability. Basically, it has water that comes out here and water that comes out the center, and you can either make it strong in the center or strong on the outside, but they call it infinite adjustability, that you can go between the two by just spinning the outside ring of the shower. And I think to myself, really? Is that necessary? Why not just say there are two settings? If you want a shower that has these two settings, this is the head for you. Plain and simple. But no. So sometimes we have the situation where it's overstated. Think about your personal, and as we go through these examples, I want you to think about your personal marketing and how you put your message together. Because I'm showing you some of the extreme examples that I find, but my fear is that we have creep. That we get so used to seeing this that we become numb to what's happening around us. And sometimes we're led to believe that we have to start down this road and cross these fine lines. And I'm arguing the exact opposite. I'm saying go far the opposite direction if you really want to set yourself apart and be unique, especially in your industry. If you want to be different, if you want to capture the attention of potential customers, your customers are looking for a few specific things that we're going to launch into here pretty soon. And this quote caught it all for me as I read this. We're getting to a point where we just are becoming numb to the prospect of the messaging around us. And when we as businesses have our customers become numb to our communication opportunities, we're losing a tremendously strong piece of communication that really we, as business owners, we can't afford to lose. We can't afford to lose it. But if we keep behaving like what we've seen up on the screen, we will. That's why it's important that you work through and be very professional in the way we market, like you heard from Ray. I'm going to trip myself up. So what exactly are we seeing in the marketplace? Well, I can tell you this. There's the Edelman Trust Barometer. The Edelman Trust Barometer goes out and does a survey. It has done this for almost, I think, between 15 and 20 years. They go out and they ask the same set of questions, and they track the level of trust people have in business. So this is the 2014 Edelman Trust Barometer, and what they see is people asking for more government regulation. They see the public watching the things that I've just showed you, and the end result is the public says, well, I guess the only answer is more government regulation. So this says government regulation of business. 42% of the public says we need more regulation. 53% say we need more regulation of financial services. 51% say we need more regulation on energy. And 48%, bless you, say we need more regulation on food and beverage. Those are your customers talking. Some of you all of you fall into one of those sectors. Now we can say, oh no, the sky is falling. I prefer to say, wow, what an awesome opportunity. What a great opportunity to change things around and to be different. We oftentimes at Better Business Bureau talk about integrity. So the folks at Edelman take a look at integrity as well. What does integrity look like? Well, the blue bar is they call it engagement. So that's what people want to see. The integrity factor is what people actually see. So the top button, the top bar is they're ethical. Well, 60% of the population, and this number concerned me, just that 60% want to see an ethical business. I'd say it needs to be 100%. But 60% say they want to see, it's very important that a business is ethical, but only 29% say they actually see it in action. And then it goes down the list that companies listen to customers, treat their employees well, customers before profit, acts responsibly in a crisis, they're transparent and open, and they communicate often. All of those things, we see a disparity in the level of integrity in the business community. So if you're taking notes, your customers want to know that you're ethical. Your customers want to know that you're listening to the customer. Your customers want to know that you treat your employees well. Your customers want to know that you put customers before profits. Your customers want to know that you act responsibly in a crisis. And I'll take one brief moment to give you 3 steps to act responsibly in a crisis. Yes?
But haven't things changed? Because I remember when it was not proper to mark up your product so you could give a big discount. When I worked at JCPenney's in window coverings, whoever had window coverings, they mark a layup and give you a 65% off. Well, any idiot should know you can't stay in business if you're marketing your product 65% unless it's marked up to start.
Exactly. And people are getting savvy to it.
That used to be considered unethical.
And it still is unethical.
Well, big
But you,
companies are doing it.
the big companies are, but you know what? We're going to get to a place, and I believe in what Ray talked about. We can't afford, we're going to get to a place later in my presentation. Ray's talked about it. But in this day and age, with social media and the way everybody has a mouthpiece, businesses, big or small, cannot afford to behave that way because the unethical behavior will see the light of day and it will be advertised.
Well, nationwide Penny's has had a problem. They had all those coupons, and then when they decided, no, we're just going to take away the coupons and give you a fair price, people revolted and quit shopping there because they wanted those coupons where they could get all this off, but they didn't understand that the price was marked up.
To get there, yeah.
They're still going to make a profit.
There's a level of expectation. Absolutely, absolutely. So the 3 things in a crisis. You find yourself in a crisis, and it's going to happen to all of us. We often hear about it, and it's made public. But the first thing is to own it. Take responsibility. If truly you own responsibility for the crisis, something happened in your organization that made it happen, own it. Identify where the responsibility lies, and be sure that you openly, transparently, and honestly take responsibility for the crisis. The second thing is to respond immediately to fix it. Whatever you need to do to fix the crisis, do so. The third piece in how to respond to any crisis is to take steps to prevent it from happening again. Those are the 3 things that the public wants and in this day and age demands from anybody in the midst of a crisis. They want to see the responsible party own it. They don't want to see the responsible party try to shirk responsibility, hide from it, try to point fingers, say, well, it's not really our fault, or I'm sorry if you were offended. They want to see the responsible party take ownership. They want to see the responsible party take immediate steps to fix the situation. And then they want to see that the responsible party has learned something and it's taking steps to keep or prevent the crisis from happening again, and articulate that to the customer base. So quick side trip on that one. That's how you respond to a crisis. Your customers want to know that you're being transparent and open. This is huge, especially now. When we look at the market studies on what helps people trust a company, it's that they have a confidence that that business is open and transparent. And that openness and transparency is trumping just about anything else when it comes to your customers trusting you and what you say about yourself. In front of you, you've got a brochure for the Center for Character Ethics. The Center for Character Ethics is an organization within Better Business Bureau where we go in and we can assess the character ethic of your business through an online survey. Out of that, we have training materials available for your business, and then we like to recognize those businesses that set the bar for operating with ethics and integrity in their industry. We call it the Torch Awards, and all of you are welcome to apply for the Torch Award. Some people say, I don't like to brag about my business. Well, it's not bragging about your business. It's really a way for you to pay it forward. If you and your business have found a level of success by doing things right and having high ethics and integrity, the business community needs to know, and we need to know how to use you as an example for how to do things the right way, and the Torch Award is one way to do that, so apply. Those are the resources that are available beyond today for this, but I want to go now into, and specifically go to a friend's book. Pete Blackshaw was chair of the National Better Business Bureau Board, wrote this book, Satisfied Customers Tell 3 Friends, Angry Customers Tell 3,000. And in this day and age, those numbers are low. I would say your satisfied customers might tell 1 friend, but your unhappy customers are going to tell a lot more than 3,000 when you look at the number of friends people have on Facebook and followers people have on Twitter. But out of this, he spends some time talking about specifically marketing and what it takes. And the first step is to do a DNA check. So what we talk about in a DNA check, what is your business? And do your conversations line up with the conversations that your customers are having? So if you're out, I'm going to pick on our friend back in the back. If you're out talking about landscaping in November, there's a really good chance that your landscaping folks, people interested in landscaping, aren't thinking about it. What are they thinking about in November? If you're in the restoration business and you're out telling a story specifically about how you can clean up messes, well, if I'm not in the midst of a mess at my house, guess what? I really don't care. But if you provide me some ways to keep my washer from flooding, to keep my washer from overflowing, to protect my house from a crisis, then I might pay attention, be much more apt paying attention, because that's where I'm at right now. My house is in good shape. I like to keep it that way. Now, you think that's counterintuitive to business, but when you see the most successful businesses in the marketplace and what's going on, they're providing that free information, the content marketing up front, because I guarantee you sooner or later I'm going to have a problem in my house. And when I do have that problem in my house, I'm immediately going to go to that company that was there helping me keep my house in good shape the whole time. So the content marketing piece is important, but you've got to do the DNA check to be sure that the conversation you're having matches the conversation that your customers are having in the time when they are hearing from you. So the DNA check. Next, no fine print. If your marketing message, if your website has countless lines of fine print and asterisks at the bottom of it, unless you're in the financial services industry, you got a problem. I know the government requires some industries to have that level of fine print. We're not talking about that. I'm talking about those, if you're trying to make big, bold, audacious statements in your marketing messaging, in your advertising messaging, if you think, well, you know what, we're going to have to put some fine print in the bottom of this because all of that's not true. A great story, Joanne and I were watching a used car dealer that's no longer in business. This used car dealer pasted up on the side of their wall, "We finance everyone." Remember this? And so we called him on the carpet. We said, "You don't finance everyone, that's impossible." Well, and he started listing the fine print. We went and sat in the office with him and had the conversation. You cannot say you finance everyone in big, bold print with a little tiny asterisk, because you can't finance everyone. And the asterisk doesn't relieve you of the responsibility. Like I said, they're no longer in business. Not because of us, but because I honestly believe when you behave badly in the marketplace, it will be found out, and you can't stay in business. Good guys do win all the time. We see it, and we encourage it. So, get rid of the fine print. Show all ratings and reviews. If you allow your customers to rate you and review you on your website, don't cherry pick and only show the positives. You can't do it. You will be found out. That person who has 10,000 Twitter followers and 3,000 Facebook friends will post on social media about your business and how they wrote a negative review on your website, and it never showed up. Now you've got a real problem, because they've just told their proverbial 3,000. Interesting, while I was sitting in the back, I had an email come through, and it was from a consumer-related organization that's working to publish the complaints of financial institutions. And this text talks about how the banks are fighting your ability to go on to a website and post a review about your experience with a bank. The banks don't want it to happen. And so this website was propped up really quick to gather signatures on a petition that would counter the financial industry attack on being able to publish reviews and ratings on your personal experience at your bank. This will blow up in the financial industry's face if they go out and try to fight customer reviews and ratings. And it'll blow up in your face too. So what do? You respond. You see it as an opportunity. We say at Better Business Bureau, every single complaint is a golden ticket. What are you going to do with your golden ticket? We're in business. It is a constant communication opportunity with your customers and your potential customers. Whether you're talking about the face-to-face transaction across the counter, of your technician, of your service provider, or whether it is the advertising and the marketing, it's all really bottom line about communication. So at some point, there's going to be a breakdown in communication. It's just going to happen because we have human beings interacting with one another. So when that breakdown happens, how do you handle it? Do you take it personally, become offended, stomp your feet and say, we've done nothing wrong and I refuse to talk? Or do you engage and share your side of the story? And maybe find somebody to help mediate the situation because you can see that it's going to take more than just the two of you. Look for opportunities to seize the golden ticket and tell your story and engage the customer. One of my favorite stories, and a lot of credit goes to Joanne on this because she is a master mediator in the country when it comes to Better Business Bureau. I was sitting in a Starbucks and Chris Taylor is the CEO of Fisher's, walked up to me. And I was still relatively new in the job at Better Business Bureau. And he said, somebody filed a complaint against us. And I go, oh boy, here it comes. He said, I thought it was an absolute waste of time. I was so upset that we were going to have to waste our time going through this process. We were right, they were wrong. And we couldn't resolve the complaint initially. So then we had to go into mediation at Better Business Bureau. And then I was really upset. But you know what? By the time we were done, I completely changed my mind. We saved the customer, and we figured out how to improve our processes. And he thanked me. But it is the attitude going into this opportunity of engaging with your customers, no matter the platform, wherever you're at. It's the opportunity to get the feedback and then work through that feedback, whether it's good or bad. But don't just shut down the negative feedback because it will not work in your best interest. So pay attention to those ratings and reviews. The next piece that Blackshaw talks about when he talks about marketing and really setting yourself apart in the marketplace is to promise and deliver. You watch the video. The promise says infinite settings. Does it really deliver? So the idea here is promise and deliver. Another great example we love at Better Business Bureau. The postcard arrives in the mail. This is a claim notice to a lady in Caldwell, and it says, the following item will be delivered to you immediately upon receipt of your signed notice and payment of $59.93. Here's what it is. A 5-piece stereo component system with micro-technology componentry, 2 wall-mountable speakers, detachable stereo cassette tape deck, AM/FM stereo receiver, stereo headset, digital quartz LCD alarm clock, alarm activation radio or cassette, matte black finish, cabinetry, 100% satisfaction, unconditionally guaranteed. Are you ready to see this amazing sound system? Excuse me. $60. Feel how heavy that speaker is. Yeah. It will not. Yeah, it won't rip them all out. And so last night, the team at Better Business Bureau gave this to me to use today, and I opened up the back, and didn't have batteries. I put fresh batteries in it, and I tried to turn it on. And I mean, we don't use this. It's not playing music every day at BBB. It was part of investigation, but it doesn't work. It doesn't even work. So, promise and deliver. If you really want to set yourself apart, promise and deliver. And don't make promises you can't deliver on. This stuff sounds so simple. You're saying, well, I know this. But if you do this, you're doing what a lot of people in the business community don't. You really get to set yourself apart. And then I love this piece, Nurture Love, because he talked, in the book, he shares a story of going into a Peet's Coffee. And I don't think we have Peet's Coffee here, but if you travel, you've seen it. So Peet's Coffee was celebrating something, and what they did was they took a Polaroid camera, the old school Polaroid camera, and this was just recently. They basically hung it on a long string at a bulletin board, and they encourage their customers to take pictures of themselves and their family members and then post the picture up on the bulletin board. So there was this whole wall of pictures of families with kids and the Polaroid pictures up on the wall at Peet's Coffee. And it created a memorable experience. I was having my haircut not long ago, and the barber and I were talking about this. How do you build your business? What are you doing? And she'd just come back from a marketing conference and basically told the same exact story. She said, we were told that we have got to find a way to have each one of our customers get their camera out, their phone, and take a picture of themselves, or take a picture of us doing something that helps them. It creates a memorable experience in the shop that they go back and look at. So, each and every one of you have something different in your business. How can you get your customers to grab that cell phone that every one of them are carrying, the smartphone, and shoot a picture? Shoot a picture of you and them, of them using your product, of them in the midst of a job well done, whatever it is. It's going to be different for every business, and the level of creativity, sky's the limit. But it's an opportunity for you to nurture love with your customers. Great opportunity. Better Business Bureau has the code of advertising. And each one of you have, or most of you should have, this brochure on your table. And the code is there. It goes in depth on what we expect as a self-regulatory organization. Going back to that founding of the organization, we're of business for business. Business owners say, let's get together, let's put a set of standards together, let's hold ourselves accountable to those standards. That's what this is all about. So you've got the code in front of you. The highlights are up there. The biggest thing, people will come up to me and they'll say, related to point number 1, Dale, I can't believe the newspaper runs that ad. Why does the TV station run that ad? It's not the TV station's responsibility, the radio station's responsibility, or the newspaper's responsibility. The sole responsibility for any advertisement rests on the advertiser. Plain and simple. So we don't expect somebody else to bear responsibility. It is the advertiser that bears the responsibility. Any claim or offer needs to be able to be substantiated. Plain and simple. That's what we're looking for when we talk about ethical advertising. And then you'd be able to present that substantiation quickly. If you claim something, say something, we're number 1, we are great. I was having dinner here in Nampa, and the restaurant on its sign outside said, we have the best salad bar in Idaho. The salad bar might have been the length of these 2 tables together, and it was basic. It had lettuce, and it had olives, and it had salad dressings and the croutons. We have the best salad bar in Idaho. The next week, I went to Tucano's in Boise. Anybody ever been there? I mean, the salad bar is fits all these tables, and you wind around it, and it has everything from quail eggs to all kinds of stuff. They're not touting we have the best salad bar, but I thought to myself, I found a better salad bar. So the idea here is substantiate. Any claim needs to be able to be substantiated. And if it's not true, don't say it, and don't misrepresent. This list is in the brochure. Take it with you. And one of the things that we offer at Better Business Bureau, we have an advertising review. And we would love to take a look at your ad before it runs. We're happy to do that. No charge. We'll just take a look and let you know if we see any red flags. It's a great service to the business community. So, the principle, the one thing, be honest. Sounds so simple because it is. Sometimes it's hard to do when you see the competition behaving badly and getting the jobs. It's tempting to think, well, maybe I need to go down that road. I argue, no, it's not. It's time to go the opposite direction. Go to absolute honesty. Find opportunities to be transparent in what you do, how you talk about yourself, how you work with your employees, how you work with your customers. Honesty is crucial, especially in transparency. I'm reminded of the TV commercial of the past General Motors CEO who was walking through the manufacturing plant talking about how General Motors had repaid all of its debt to the U.S. government after the bailout. Anybody remember seeing that ad? You know what hit the front page of newspapers all over the country the next day? The $60 billion that GM still owes the U.S. government. We can't hide in this day and age. We can't say something that's not true in this day and age and not be found out, either by traditional media or now social media. We will be called on the carpet. That's not the reason to do right. The reason to do right is simply do right because it's the right thing to do. But I guarantee you'll be found out, even if you think you're being transparent without being honest, it doesn't work. So, do what's right, simply and for the only reason that it is the right thing to do. And when we do this, I love what Frank Luntz wrote in his book, because when we act through and do these things that have been up on the screen that we've talked about, when we do this individually, together, as businesses throughout Idaho, I think we achieve what Frank talks about. This is the era of integrity, of voluntarily going above and beyond federal guidelines, ethics codes, ground rules, and moral obligations. It is the era of continual improvement and never settling for the status quo. No matter your past successes or failures, communicating that you're always striving to do more and do it better wins the hearts, minds, and consumer dollars. No one trusts the government to get anything right. So if all you're doing is complying with minimum standards, then you immediately wrap yourself up in the government's shroud of ineptitude. You must go higher. I say we must all go higher. It is a tremendous opportunity for us to be different in the marketplace and to set the example. Because we walk out of here saying, I have the intent to do what's right, and we judge ourselves by our intent, but we judge others by their actions. And we as business owners are constantly being judged by the messages we put out, the marketing, the advertising, and when we specifically tell our story with honesty and transparency, and we do what's right because it's the right thing to do, we move ourselves forward and we go higher. Thank you very much.